There are a lot of amazing videos out there on how to sharpen a plane iron, but in my opinion, they can sometimes have too much information that would overwhelm somebody who's just learning how to sharpen a plane iron for the first time. So today, I want to show you my super simple sharpening process. It's very basic, it involves a very minimum set of tools / jigs, and I can guarantee you it's going to leave you with a plane iron that's sharp enough to take plane shavings. You're going to need a minimum of 3 tools. The first is a honing guide. This one costs about 10 or 15 bucks. My dad actually gave me this one. It's simple and it works great. The second thing you'll need to do, or make in this case, is a simple, quick, plane projection reference guide. So you're going to want to sharpen your plane iron somewhere between 20 and 30 degrees. And in order to do that, when using these honing guides, you need to project the plane iron from the front face of the guide a certain distance. On this one, it tells me that in order to do it for 30 degrees, you should have the plane being projected 38 millimeters, and for 25, it should be 50 millimeters. Now, you'll want to pick some angle and just stick with it. It really doesn't matter. It can be 25 degrees, it can be 30, it can be somewhere in between. Just pick one and stick with it. So to make this jig, what you're going to do is find that distance you need to project the plane iron, get a scrap piece of wood, get a scrap piece of plywood, measure that distance from the front edge of the plywood, and screw down your other piece of wood. And now what you've done is you've created a quick reference guide in which you can put the plane iron in your honing guide, set it up to the front face, project the plane iron until it hits the front of this piece of wood, cinch it down, and you have that consistent plane projection plane iron every single time you go to sharpen. Third, and the last of the minimum tools you'll need, is diamond sharpening stones. Now these are the expensive DMT diamond sharpening stones. They cost around $130 now. But if you don't want to invest that much money, you can get thinner diamond sharpening stones that only cost about $20 or $30. And finally, this last thing is optional and not necessary, but you can get a stropping board. This is just a piece of leather that is adhered to a piece of plywood that I put stropping compound on that gives one final polish. By no means do you need to strop. You can get a perfectly sharp plane iron that's going to take plane shavings from diamond stones alone, but this does add that final polish to it. It also doesn't need to be a piece of thick leather. You can use a fake piece of leather. I did that for a while, and I even did for a while a simple piece of pine wood. First step in the sharpening process is to set our plane iron into the honing guide and set it at the correct plane projection length using our quick reference guide. So to do that, we're going to put it in here, tighten it down loosely so that you're able to move it slightly, set the front edge of the honing guide up to the piece of plywood, extend the plane iron all the way until it touches that scrap piece of wood, and then we're going to cinch it down. Use a screwdriver here, and we're going to tighten it so it's nice and tight. The next thing we're going to want to do is to lubricate the stones in some way. For that, DMT recommends that you use crud cutter. I honestly used the water for the first 4 years that I had these stones. They did rust, but eventually I was able to just clean them up with some barkeeper's friends. They didn't ruin the stones, just a little bit of rust, but I would recommend that you just invest in some crud cutter. So we're going to lubricate each stone, just a simple spray onto each one, and now we're ready to sharpen. So we're going to take our honing guide and our plane iron and simply rest it on there. It should be able to rest just fine, and how I like to hold everything is that I like to take my thumbs and put them on the back of the honing guide, and then I'll take my 2 fingers here, and what I'm going to do is simply just rest them on both edge and press down pretty firmly, not too strong that I'm applying so much pressure that it's making my fingers white, but not too loose that I'm not applying any pressure at all. Somewhere just in the middle. So all we're going to do is simply take 20 strokes back and forward with pressure on both sides of the plane iron. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's all I do. Now, if this is a brand new plane iron, if you're storing an iron, you're going to want to check to look that you have a nice, clean, bright spot all the way along the front edge of the iron. If you don't, you're going to want to continue to using this lowest grit stone until you get that nice, fresh, clean, sharpened iron along the front face of the plane iron. Once you've established that angle, you're not going to have to keep repetitively doing that. each time you go to sharpen. For me, I know that it's already set up. It's set up using my honing guide. I have the angle I need. So all I need to do is take those 20 strokes. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my left index finger and I'm going to press firmly just on the left hand side. And I'm going to keep my right hand on the right side just to keep the plane going straight forward and backwards. And I'm simply just going to take 6 strokes front and back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pressing firmly on the left side, but not pressing firmly on the right. Now I'm going to take my right finger and I'm going to do the same thing on the right side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all I'm going to do. And what we're doing there is we're slightly feathering the edge of the plane iron so that it is being cut ever so slightly on both edge, and we're basically just breaking that sharp corner. This is going to be helpful when we're taking full passes across the face of a piece of wood so that we don't leave harsh cutting streaks on each edge of the plane iron. That's all we're going to have to do on this first grit, and then we're just going to move to the second and we're going to repeat that whole process. So 2 fingers pressed on either side, and we're going to take 20 strokes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Then we're going to take our left finger, put it pressed firmly on the left edge, and we're going to take those 6 strokes again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to press firmly on the right hand side and do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're done with that stone. We're going to move on to the next one. And on this last stone, which for me is the highest grit, I'm going to do actually 30 strokes this time just to give it kind of that extra final polish. I don't really think you need to, but I just kind of like to do it. It makes me feel better. So 30 strokes on this last stone. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then on the left finger and the right finger, I'll take 8 strokes instead of 6 strokes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's it. We're done. So we have the front angle nice and sharp, but now we need to flatten the back. And to do that, we're going to use what's called the ruler trick. Now, this is the key that transformed my sharpening and led me to actually get a nice sharp blade that I was able to take plane shavings with. So you're going to need to find a flat ruler. This is just a plastic one. You want to get it as flat as possible. I honestly could probably go flatter than this, but whatever you find, you're going to want to set it on the very edge of the highest grit stone, just so that it's barely hanging onto the stone. Then you're going to take your plane iron, you're going to rest it on that ruler, and you're going to rest it in such a way that the end of the iron is going to be resting on the very edge of the other end of the stone. You're then going to apply pressure on the front edge of the iron. I just like to use my 2 fingers, and we're just going to go forward and backwards about 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you flip it over, you're going to want to see a nice freshly sharpened plane iron that goes all the way across the front edge of the plane iron. If you don't see this, again, if this is the first time you're using or restoring a plane iron, you're going to want to take the ruler and you're going to want to go to the lowest grit, and you're going to want to do the same thing until you get that nice freshly clean sharpened piece of iron that goes all the way across the front edge. What we've done just there is we've basically taken the front angle and we've kind of sharpened the back angle, and we're ensuring that everything comes to a nice, very, very sharp point. That's going to help us take nice, clean shavings. Now at this point, this plane iron is finished. It's nice and sharp, and I can guarantee you at this step you could do nothing else, put it back in your plane, and it will take some shavings. But if you do have a stropping board, you can put some stropping compound on like we're going to do here and take a couple passes on the stropping board. So to use your stropping board, what you're going to do is you're going to take your stropping compound. I got this off of Amazon. It's lasted me for 4 years. I think it started maybe this far, and this is as far as it's gotten, so it will last you a very, very long time. But what you're going to do is just simply run this across your stropping board. I only do this about every 4 or 5 times I sharpen. I don't reapply the stropping compound every single time. Maybe I should. That would maybe improve things. You can if you want. I don't know if it's entirely necessary. I'll leave it up to you. So once you've applied your stropping compound, you're then going to take the iron, and since I'm left-handed, I like to place the iron predominantly in my left hand. And what you're going to do is you're going to set it up here, and you're going to attempt to find the angle that you've sharpened to. Now for me, I like to place just 2 fingers on the left with most of it in my left hand, and just take my right hand and kind of apply pressure on the right and also kind of keep everything stable. Now you can find whatever grip is going to work for you, but you want to try to find that angle. It's really not too important if you don't get it exactly right. And all you're going to do is you're just going to go apply a nice firm pressure, and you're just going to stroke. I have to go about 10 times. And that's it. Then, after you've done that, I like to just flip it over, apply some pressure on the back, and take a couple strokes on the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's it. That's all you need to do on the stropping board, and you have a nice, freshly sharpened plane iron that's going to take plane shavings. So then the last step, obviously, is to put the plane back together. Now, this isn't a video about how to set up a hand plane. I would recommend you look into other videos that would probably do a better job than I could in how to troubleshoot your hand plane. But I will share that the thing that gave me the most trouble when I was learning how to sharpen and use a hand plane for the first time was that I needed to ensure that the chip breaker, which is this piece up top here, sat flush against the back of the plane iron. When I was first setting up and sharpening a hand plane, when I would look between the chip breaker and the back of the plane iron, I was able to see some light. In other words, everything wasn't meeting flushly. Now this caused a lot of problems because when I would go to use the hand plane, chips would get stuck in between that chip breaker and the back of the plane iron. It would clog up the plane, and it would prevent me from being able to use the hand plane properly. So if there was one tip I could give, it's that you make sure that the back of your chip breaker is flat and that it's sitting flushly with the back of the plane iron, and that if you hold it up to a light, you aren't able to see absolutely no light coming through where they meet. So once you've done that, obviously then you can set the plane iron into your plane. You can cinch everything down, and then I like to look and see and adjust from here. Make sure it looks as flat as possible. Back the plane iron up until it disappears, and as it's disappearing I can do one final check to see that the plane iron is flat along the sole, and then take it all the way back. So now I have it so it's not protruding. I'm going to take it to my board, I'm going to start to go, and as I push along I'm going to keep advancing the blade until I start to take a shaving. Now for me that took on the right side, so I'm going to adjust everything real quick. I'm going to go once more, and look at that, I'm starting to take a shaving already. That's a nice clean wispy shaving all the way across. And there we go, using that simple process, quick, easy, straightforward, use the honing guide, I was able to get a nice sharp blade that's taking nice clean shavings. Now at the beginning, I said I would share one final tip that I would guarantee will leave you with a sharp plane iron that's able to take plane shavings. And that is that you just need to keep at it. I know it's kind of cliche, but there's just a reality that sharpening a hand plane, doing it for the first time, if you've never done it before, if you're just trying to figure it out on YouTube, it's just going to take time. You're going to have to watch multiple videos. I had to watch multiple videos and find whatever it is that's going to be that key little detail that's going to help you to get your plane sharp and set up and taking shavings. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope it kind of cut through all the details and just gave you a very simple process. Thank you for watching, keep at it, and I guarantee you're going to find a solution that works for you.